Google, Apple, and Facebook battle for your internet experience by Samantha Zumwalt. Summary of this Apple, Google, and Facebook all started out with very different business models, but they are competing to advance and outdo each other, or like the title states, they're battling for your internet experience. So these three major companies all want to have the dominant smartphone operating system so that they can have control over the apps where smartphone users spend most of their time. So, with this control, they can make the most money off the ads that are in these apps and continue to advance over the other two companies. Compare the business models and core competencies of Google, Apple, and Facebook. So, Facebook is a way you can use, well, it started off as just a social networking site, but it has evolved so much, and it's a way for you to achieve information, news, watch videos, connect with friends, and so many other things. Apple is a company that dominates in mobile software applications, and they have over 1 billion active devices in circulation. So Google continues to be the world's leading search engine, but all of these companies started off with one business model, and they've grown and advanced to compete with each other. Why is mobile computing so important to these three firms? Evaluate mobile strategies. So mobile computing is so popular now that in order to compete, they try to be the best. They have to be as mobile friendly as possible. So many people are using their phones now instead of computers to search or to communicate with others or to, you know, just everything. Everything is, mobile phones are so popular and continuing to grow. So Facebook has a mobile version. Google changes ads and is set up to be more mobile friendly, and Apple has innovations with AI, and their services they provide are very helpful and mobile friendly. What is the significance of search to the success or failure of mobile computing? How has Apple and Facebook attempted to compete with Google? And will their strategies succeed? So these businesses are able to make a profit off the ad seen when someone is using that company's search. So Apple attempts to compete with Google search by introducing its own search engine to browse things like music apps and services. Facebook search is based on that user's likes and friend recommendations. So it's more precise and more of a social experience in Google search because you can kind of see what your friends are doing and what you've liked in the past or what you've done in the past. So it's more catered to you and the people around you instead of just being like a really broad search, with a bunch of information like Google's. And Apple and Facebook search is nowhere near as popular as Google. I think they have the capability to become more popular than they are now, but it would take a long time for them to outdo the reputation and the amount of people that use Google search. Which company and business model do you think is most likely to dominate the internet and why? So I think that Google does and will continue to dominate the internet. Apple and Facebook have made a lot of advances to compete with Google, but I believe it will be a long time before either can compete with Google's search abilities. But this really does depend on how you plan to use the internet. So in the text, it talks about how the creator of Facebook thinks that social networking is the best way to use the web and to consume data. And social networking is such a huge part of so many people's lives, and it continues to become more and more popular. And if it continues to grow in this way, and that mindset becomes more popular, Facebook would definitely dominate the internet. When a business or individual decides what type of device, okay, so for this one, what difference would it make to a business or an individual consumer if Apple, Google, or Facebook dominated the internet experience? So when a business or individual decides what type of device or platform they want to use, it would be important for them to be able to have the most information available to them. They will want to use the most dominant internet experience, so they'll feel like they have the most access to the information that they're seeking. A question to consider. What advantages and disadvantages does Apple have over Google? So Apple is the leading mobile software is the leader of mobile software applications. They have the most mobile devices out, but Google devices are much cheaper, which can be a big competition for Apple. Another question to consider: what would happen if one company held dominance over the other two? So I believe that the other two companies would continue to advance and compete with that dominant company. I don't think just because one company becomes like very dominant um, in this industry that the other two would, really fall behind too much. I think they would make the advances and they would continue to grow to be able to compete with and be next to or above that dominant company. So a little update. So, with Zuckerberg's thoughts that social network is the best way to use the internet, Facebook would definitely dominate, especially considering the dominance it has over other social networking sites. According to The Telegraph, it would be enough for Facebook to own the world's biggest social network, but it also owns the competition. The world's next most popular social network in the West is Instagram at 600 million users, and the world's biggest chat app is WhatsApp. And also, according to Forbes, Apple iOS 13 will cause a lot of damage to the reputation of Google and Facebook due to information being shown about users' privacy while using the apps. And so, basically, it'll show like how much Google and Facebook are active or watching while you're using your phone, which could make some of the Google and Facebook users uncomfortable, which would, in terms damage their reputation, and that could make Apple, continue to grow and become more dominant.